Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the place where you learn new skill every time you visit. So keep updating yourself by subscribing to the channel. In this video, we'll discuss arrays in Visual Basic. So let's see what are the arrays in Visual Basic.
Arrays in Visual Basic. Now an array is a continuous memory location which can hold a list of values at a time. When we talk about arrays, we mean that a series of variables which are declared in the memory one after another. Continuous memory location means they are declared one after another. And when we declare an array, all those variables have a same name, only the index value changes. For example, here we have shown you an example of an array where the array name is bike. All right, if you see, all these three variables have the name bike. The only thing changing is the index value inside, but they are holding different string data. So this is an example of an array, string array, which is holding three members or three content of string type. Now how do we declare an array in Visual Basic? All right, now to declare an array in Visual Basic, this is the syntax. We just have to specify dim, which we normally do for the variables dimension, then the array name, then how many members you want in that array or how many elements you want in that list that you have to specify here, and then the data type. Right now I'm declaring an array of 5 elements which is going to hold string content, that is the bike names. Okay, so now how do we store values to that array and print the values out of that array? So here we have declared an array of 5 names to store 5 string which will be the bike names. Then since all of them, as I've shown you in the previous slide, that all the variable names bike 1, bike 2, bike 3, only the index number changes, so I can use a loop to handle those variables. So here the loop is going in I from 1 to 5. So that means the value of I will be substituted here over here. So the first value of I is 1, which will get substituted here and will become bike 1, and which will take the value from the text box I minus 1. Text 1 I minus 1. Now what is this text 1 I minus 1? When in the interface you create a text box and you know that you have to handle array, means you need to input all the members of the array, or all the elements of the array has to be input from that text boxes. So you don't need one text box, you need many text boxes. So for example here, since the number of elements in the array is 5, so I would be requiring 5 text boxes. So what will you do that in interface? I'll show you practically also. You just copy a text one and then paste it. Once you are going to paste it, it will ask you, do you want to create a control array? You say yes, and then keep on pasting the 5 boxes. So what will happen? Their index value, you will have 5 text boxes there. All of them will have the name text1, because again it's a array, control array text boxes. So all will have the name text1. The only thing changing for them is the index value. The index value inside will be from 0 till 4. Okay. So for that reason only, since the first text box index value is 0 and my first I value is 1, so I will say I minus 1. So that means for the first time it will be 1 or 0. So text 1 0. And then when the value of I becomes 2, this will be 2 minus 1 1, and so on. It will handle all the 4 text boxes from 0 to 1. So this particular set of loop is taking the input from the 5 text boxes from the interface, from the form of the Visual Basic, and storing it into an array. Now we have to print that also. So just the way we have taken the input using a loop of 5 elements, we have to run again a loop of 5 elements to print it. So we'll say list1.add item bike I. Now again the values of I will get substituted here, and this will keep on updating and will get all the names one by one in the list box. When we actually run it, we'll see something like this will appear. So here you can see that there are 5 text boxes. Each one of them would have name text1 0, text1 1, text 1 2, text 1 3, and text 1 4. Now when we put the values here and press the calculate, all the values will go to corresponding array elements, that is bike 1, bike 2, bike 3, bike 4, bike 5. And then when the printing statement gets executed, we'll get the output in this form. We'll get the output in this particular form as shown here. So all the 5 bike names along with the message bikes are will be displayed in the list box 1. So this is the way we input and take data from the array. We store data into the array and we pull out the values from the array in Visual Basic. Now, how do we do a little manipulations in the array in Visual Basic? So we can also initialize an array in Visual Basic by this type. We declare an array by the dim statement on the top, and then rather than taking input by using a for loop, I can also initialize all the members of that array with names starting by writing it all together. So this Honda name will go to the bikes 1. Then bullet, the second name will go to the bikes 2 position, and so on, bikes 3 and bikes 4. These all names will go to the arrays by just a single statement. Now we can also print the above elements as shown above there. Okay, if I have to print all these elements, actually there are 4 elements, so I need to run the loop till 4. If I have to print all these elements, I'll just run a loop from 1 to 4 and print it out. So they will get printed out. Okay. Now we can also pick some element from that array and store it into another variable. So right now here this is a complete program where we are declaring a variable name, a separate variable name other than the array. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling out the 4th bike name from that array and storing it into a variable called name. So here we are printing those 4 names. This loop will again go to 4 because we have actually stored 4 elements here. But if we are taking the input, we could have done the 5 also. So this will print the all 4 elements, and this particular statement will print the name which you pulled out here, which you pulled out singly in a single way from that particular array, that is the 4th element stored into name, and you are printing it out here. So this is the way you can pull out a single name from that list and store it into an array and print it out. Okay, now let's see one more problem in array. Uh, Here we have declared an array of 5 names. We are taking the input from user the way I have explained you, and then we are printing it out, all of them. And here again I have taken out a similar kind of example which we did in the previous slide. We are pulling out here the 5th name and then printing it out. Okay, there we were pulling the 4th name. So this way you can pull out 4th name, 5th name, or any other name from that list. All right. Now let's see a few more examples in array. So in this particular example, we have declared an array of percentage, right, of double data type, and then another total and average variables are also there. So here we are storing the percentage of 10 students. Okay, so I need to run a loop till 10, and here I have taken the similar way I explained you in the previous slide. To the ith position of the percentage, the names will go from the I-1 boxes because the box's name starts from 0. And here I'm doing the total. So total equals to total plus percentage I. So whatever percentage is coming from the text boxes are getting stored into total. And then we know that the formula of the average is total by 10. So over here we are printing the total and the average all together. All right. So this is one of the example where we are handling the percentage of 10 students and printing the class total and average. Okay. Now let's see one more example where we have taken the name and percentage marks of 10 students and printing the name of the student who scored the highest and the least in the exam. Alright, so this is an interesting example. So since I need names and percentages, so I need to declare 2 arrays, one by the name names as string, another by the name percentage as double. Then we have taken variable to store the highest percentage, the least percentage, which will be of course double type, and to store the name of the student who scored the highest and the least, which will be of string type. So in this particular loop, we have taken the input. We are taking the input of names from the text boxes, and similarly from the text one series of boxes, and here the percentage from the text two series of boxes, and storing it into the corresponding two arrays. All right. Now after storing it into the array, what we'll do is we'll just we'll assume that the first percentage, whatever the first percentage user has given, is the highest, assuming it is just an assumption. All right. And we are also assuming, since we are assuming that the first percentage which is in the list is the highest, so that student's name also I'll store it into the highest name. Now I need to cross check whether out of the remaining elements, any element, any percentage is more than this assumed highest percentage. So since I have to check from the remaining, so my loop will now start from 2 to 10, because 1 I already stored. Now I'll check if any other percentage is higher than the highest percentage. Then what will happen? That particular percentage will become the highest, isn't that? If any other happens to be more than this, then that is the highest. So if this condition happens, then into the highest percentage variable, I'm storing that particular percentage which is higher than the highest assumed. And similarly, the highest name will hold that student's name who has scored highest than this higher assumed. And then once the loop ends, when the whole 10 elements are checked, after that I can print it out. The highest score name is this, and percentage is this. The highest scorer name, or the highest score name and percentage, I'll print together. Similarly, I need to do for the least. The only thing is, here instead of highest, I'll take the variable least percentage. Now I'm assuming that the first percentage is least. And similarly, if I'm assuming the first percentage is least, then that student's name will also go to the least name. Then again, I'll check from second to 10, because the first one I already assumed. So I'll run a loop from 2 to 10, and I'll check if any other percentage out of this 2 to 10, any other percentage happens to be less than least percentage, the one which I assumed. Okay, if it happens, then that particular percentage, this one, which is lesser than the assumed one, will go to the least percentage, and that student's name will also go to the least name. And this way the process will go on. When all the 10 elements are checked, okay, whichever is the least, that name will go to the least name, that percentage will go to least percentage, and when the loop ends, we will print the least name and percentage. So this is where we can find the highest and least value of an array. All right. Now let's understand everything practically in Visual Basic compiler. So let's go to the Visual Basic compiler. And first here, what I'll do is I'll try to create a form. Okay, and the form should have I will do the first example, that is where we have to input 10 numbers and print the sum and the average, 10 percentage rather, print the sum and the average, right? So before doing anything into the form, what I need to do is I should increase the font of the form. Once I do that, whatever thing I put on the form, like a label or the text boxes, their form and their font will automatically get increased up to that level. So I'll right click and go to properties. If this table is not visible, if this table over here is visible, you see it is a property table of form, I can directly scroll down to the caption of font, which comes by F. Yeah, here it is. All right, and here I can adjust I can say it bold, and I can choose a particular size. Now everything I'll draw here will be of that size. The first thing, I will give a message in the label, enter the what shall I enter? Enter the percentage, 10 percentage of the student. Okay, or percentage of student. Enter percentage of students. All right, so after this, since I need boxes now, 10 boxes for the students to enter the percentage, so I'll pick a label, the text box, I'll draw it here, and then I will remove the content of it. That is I'll go to the property table here, and remove the text property of it. Now I have to make it a control array because this is one text box, but I need 10 text boxes and I want all the text boxes with the same name. So what I'll do, I'll just go here, I'll say control C, copy, and control V. When I say control V paste, all right, it will ask me, do you want this as a control array? Yes. So it will give me another box here, which I can drag and put it here, just below this or wherever I want them in the form. Now I'll observe, see, when I click over here and go to the my property table, you see the name is text1 text1 of 1, and when I click on the first box, the name is text1 0. So this is all text boxes but with different index values, so it's a control array text box. Now again I'll paste it, the same thing, and drag it. So similarly I'll paste 10 names, 10 boxes here, or depending on how many you need as per your problem, you have to paste that many text boxes here. So this will come here. Just give me a moment so that I can pull out 10 names which is required in this particular example. So I have already done, I think, 7 of them. This is the 6th one, this is the 7th one, the 8th one, the 9th one, and when I say 9th one, it is actually the 10th one. Why? Because starting from 0, if I count it 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, one more I need, so one more paste, and I can paste it down below. Okay, so this is where you have to align the text boxes or control text boxes, control array text boxes. Now I need a command button. Okay, I can properly align it, but it takes time to align. You can do it when you will do it practically. So you can align all the text boxes so it will look nice when you see it. When you double click it, actually it opens the coding window for it. So that's why it's going simultaneously to the coding window of the text box. Okay, now command button, I'll pull out the command button, put it here. I'll give the name as calculate, and then I need a list box. Now this list box, which I'll drag from here, has to be a longer one because it's going to show further more details, right? Rather than showing all the elements, also it need to show the total and the average. All right, yeah. So now I'll go for coding. I'll double click on the button, command button, and go for the coding. First I'll declare an array percentage 10 as integer. So I have declared an array, or rather take it double, because percentage is going to be, can be in double decimal. Now I'll run a loop, as I told you, from 1 to 10 to take 10 percentage from user. Now since the value of I is going from 1 to 10, so I can, and the value of the array, the index value of array also goes from 1 to 10, so I can directly say percentage I. But when I talk about the text boxes, the index value of text boxes goes from 0. So I have to say I minus 1. So that when the value of I is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So that thing is managed. So here in this particular loop, I have taken the input of 10 percentage from user. Now what I need to do is I need to print this, all the elements. So I'll run a loop again, 1 to 10, and I'll print it. List1 dot add item, and what is the name? Percentage I. Simultaneously, I have to sum it also, okay, because I need to find out the average and the percentage. And for that also, I need two more variable here. Dim total, comma, average as double. All right. So now I need to sum it up. So total equals to total plus percentage I, and after the bracket, or after the loop ends, I'm sorry. Next time I'll do the average equals to total upon number of elements, which is 10. And now I have to print the total and the average also. So list one dot add item, I'll print total, and list one dot add item, I'll print average. Okay, so I think this is done. Now I'll try to run it. When I run it, it takes me to the form and asks me to enter few percentage values. So I'll randomly give few values. Okay, so I have given 10 values, and when I say calculate, it's going to show me all the 10 values here, and along with the total, you can see here the total of the class total and the class average. Okay, so if I want to print a messages also with class total and class average, I can also do that. Let me go to the coding window again, and I can add on a messages here like total or class total is ampersand total, and class average is ampersand average. And to show this messages, I can also print one list here which will show me that these are the mark percentage mark. List one dot add item percentage of students are. Okay, now I'll run it again with a slight change. So I'll randomly put some values here. Okay, and when I calculate, now the messages also come. Percentage of students are this, class total is this, class average is this. All right, so this is the way we handle arrays, and doing the sum of the arrays, calculating the average of the array elements. Now let's do one more example which we have done in few minutes before in the video, where we are calculating the highest and the least percentage out of 10, and there we are also dealing with the names. So how I need to modify the form? I need one more control array for the names, because right now I have only 10 boxes for the percentage. I'll just make space here, and I will need 10 boxes for the names also. So let it go for the percentage. Okay, let's use this lot for the names. Okay, and then we'll take one more series of percentage for the one more series of text boxes or control array text boxes for the percentage. Since this is going to store the name, so I'll just increasing the width of the boxes so that it can accommodate the names of the student. So just a few seconds rather, I'll adjust the boxes, and then I'll take one more set of control array for the percentages. So this time my text one control array boxes are for names, and for percentage I'll pick one more text box here. From here, paste it here for percentage, remove the content of it. Okay, so I'll just go to the text property of it. Let me scroll down to the text property. Here it comes. It's alphabetically in order, PQRST. Yeah, here it is. So I'll remove the content, and I'll control C copy and control V paste. Again, control V paste. Okay, it's not taking the copy. So if it's not taking the keyboard wise, you can right click and say copy. All right, and then you can right click and say paste. Okay, ask you, do you want control array? Yes, I want control array. So it will give you simultaneous boxes as and when you press control V. So Here you can also observe that the names of the text boxes here, do you see here? The names of the text boxes here are of the same. In text 2 2, the index value is changing 2 1 2 0. Okay. As soon as I'll keep on pasting, you can observe over there the text box name will be same, but the index value will change. Okay. So here it is. So in front of every text box for name, I'm putting one more text box for percentage this time. So this time the text2 series of control array boxes is for percentage and text1 is for name. In the previous example which I just did, I have used text1 for percentage only. So I just have to slightly tweak my coding to accommodate this. So here text box 1 is for name and text box 2 is for percentage. I shall also change the message, because this time you are asking for the names and percentage and percentage. Spelling of percentage, E was missing, sorry. So this also need a space, so I'll just scroll it up a little. Yep. So let me just add on the E. Yeah, that's fine. And I'll go to the coding part now. Double click on calculate. Here I need one more for the name, one more array for the name. So name I can take 10 as string. Okay, and while I'm taking the input now, my name percentage will come from the text2 series of text boxes, as I told you a few minutes before, because I used another text boxes for percentage now. And the text1 boxes of control arrays is for the name. So name equals to text1 I minus 1, name I equals to, because that's an array. Okay, so now I have to find the, I don't have percentage simply, I have to find the what do you call that, least and the highest of the lot. Okay, so let me see why this is red line is coming. X1 I minus 1, x2 I minus 1. I need to put a gap. Yeah. My array name is name. That's perfectly all right. Okay, we'll see when we run it. So again, I need few more variables now. I don't need this total and average. I need highest percentage and least percentage as double. Similarly, to store the names of the highest students scoring highest marks, and similarly one variable for storing the names of the student who's scoring the least. Okay, as I discussed in the video a few minutes before, that I have to assume that the first student is scoring the highest. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll say highest percentage, HIGHEST, highest percentage will be my first percentage. Similarly, the highest name, the same student's name also, I'll store it into the highest name, because if I'm assuming that the first student is scoring highest or has scored highest, so the name shall also be of that student. Now since I've assumed that the first student's name or first student scoring highest, now I need to check from the remaining. So remaining means from second to 10. Now out of the remaining, what I need to do, I need to check if anyone else, if any other student is scoring more than this, which I assume to be the highest. So how will I check? If percentage I means if percentage of any other student from 2 to 10 happens to be more than this, which I assume, highest, HIGHEST, highest percentage. So if any other students percentage happens to be more than this, then that percentage is going to be highest. So highest percentage equals to percentage I. So whosoever student is scoring whosoever student is scoring highest than the one which I assumed highest, then that particular percentage will go to the highest now. Okay, got it? And similarly, if the percentage of that student will go to the highest percentage, the name of that student will also go to the highest name variable, name I, and next I. Okay, and then I'll print this one dot add item. Highest scorer will be my and highest name, and with the gap, well, gap, I'll say highest percentage. Okay, now let's run this first and then I'll go for the least one. Yep, it makes sense. Okay, I have to do end if. I'm sorry, I messed up the end if of the if. Okay, so this will be here and this shall come here. Let me see if there are any errors. Yeah, something is over here, it's showing in red. Okay, why it's showing in red? Because I've taken the variable name or the array name as name, whereas name is a reserved word for Visual Basic. So I should just change the spelling, make it names. All right, so if I do it here, I shall do it everywhere where I'm using it. Yeah, name. Here already names has been put. Okay, so these are the two places where I have used name. Here also names. Okay, right. So now I'll run this, or rather I'll first do the least one also, and then run it together, because then I don't have to take the input two times and the video will, otherwise the video will be very long. So what I'll do, I'll just copy paste these things because these are going to be similar for least. Okay, I'll just paste it here and I'll change the variable names. Now after printing the highest, I need to assume that my first percentage is the least. Okay, so I store that into the least percentage variable, and similarly to the least name variable I have stored the names. Okay, the first name. Then similarly again I'll check for the remaining 2 to 10 remaining students details, that if anyone's percentage happens to be less than, now this time less than the least percentage, that means the one which I assumed as least, if anyone happens to be less than that, then my least percentage is going to store that and my least name is going to store that. All right, yeah, now it makes sense. And now I'll print, instead of highest I'll say least. So now I'm almost done with the full program. Least scorer, and here variable names will also change. Here the variable name will also change. Okay, okay, so I'll run it. I'll just give some random names and corresponding percentages. A few more names to be given. Two more names I'll choose. Okay, so here is the last one, and then I am Akshat K. So this is another Akshat. So I can keep it different so that there's no confusion about the stuff. Okay, So here I go and I press calculate. When I press calculate, it gives me high scorer is Surabhi 99, least score is Ahmed 9. You can see over here that the high scorer is Surabhi and least scorer is Ahmed. Alright. I hope you have understood it well. So if you still have doubt, please comment and mail me. I'll get back to you with your solutions. So thank you for giving your time. Bye bye. Take care.
If you are new to the channel, please subscribe it. Also press the bell notification so that you get notification as soon as I release a new video. Share and like the video.